Hey guys, welcome back to Elevate a Soul. Today we are continuing with the part 2 of the chapter Ajāmila, Canto 6. Because Ajāmila very loudly and helplessly chanted the holy name of Lord Narayana, he has become freed from all reactions to sinful life. Therefore, O servants of Yamaraja, do not try to take him to your master for punishment in hellish conditions. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, or if he chants jokingly for musical entertainment or even neglectfully. Although sinful acts may be neutralized by the performance of austerities and vows and the giving of charity, such pious acts cannot uproot the material desires within one's heart. By rendering service unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, one can become completely purified. Even if one does not know the efficacy of a certain medicine, it will act just the same. Similarly, even if one does not understand the value of chanting the holy name of the Lord, his chanting will nonetheless prove very effective. After saying this, the Vishnudutas released Ajāmila from the ropes of the Yamadutas. Since they were highly disappointed at being baffled in their attempt to arrest Ajāmila, the Yamadutas hastily departed for the court of Yamaraja so that they could describe to him all that had taken place. After being released, Ajāmila came to his senses and became freed from all fear. Being extremely grateful to the Vishnudutas for having saved him from the hands of the Yamadutas, Ajāmila very respectfully offered his obeisances by bowing his head off their lotus feet. Then, when the Vishnudutas saw that Ajāmila was about to say something, they immediately disappeared from the scene. Since Ajāmila was now freed from all sinful reactions, he was prepared to glorify the Lord. Just to increase the depth of Ajāmila's feelings by suppression, the Vishnudutas thought it best to disappear from his presence. By hearing the discussion between the Vishnudutas and Yamadutas, Ajāmila became fully enlightened about the relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead on the platform of pure devotional service. While remembering his past activities, Ajāmila greatly regretted his sinful life, and so he spoke as follows: "Oh, how degraded I had become due to being a servant of my senses. I fell down from my position as a duly qualified Brahmana and begot children in the womb of a prostitute. How condemned I am for having given up my chastity and beautiful wife to have sexual intercourse with a fallen prostitute who was accustomed to drinking wine. My old father and mother had no one else to look after them, and because I neglected them, they had to live with great difficulty. How ungrateful I was to have left them in that condition. It is now clear that sinful persons like me must be thrown into hellish conditions to suffer extreme miseries. Did I see a dream, or was it a reality? Where have the fearsome men with ropes in their hands gone? Where are the 4 very beautiful liberated persons who saved me from being dragged to hell? It must be the result of my past devotional service that I was able to see the 4 exalted personalities who came to rescue me and also chant the holy name of the Supreme Lord while dying. Otherwise, how would it have been possible? I am a shameless cheater who has degraded his family tradition and killed his Brahmanical culture. Because I am like sin personified, what am I in comparison to the all auspicious chanting of the holy name of Lord Narayana? Now that I have gotten this opportunity to come to my senses, I must completely control myself and engage in the devotional service of the Lord so that I may not once again fall down into the darkness of ignorance which is material life. Due to bodily identification, one becomes subjected to desires for sense gratification and thus engages in various pious and impious acts. Now I shall disentangle myself from this material bondage which has been caused by the Supreme Lord's illusory energy in the form of a woman. Being most fallen, I became just like a dancing dog led around by the hand of a woman. Now I shall give up my lusty desires and get freed from this illusion by becoming a merciful, well-wishing friend to all living entities and absorbing myself fully in Krishna consciousness. Now that I have become fixed in the absolute truth, I will henceforward no longer identify myself with the body but instead fix my mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. Because of a moment's association with the Vishnudutas, Ajāmila became detached from all material attraction and with great determination, he immediately set out for Haridwar, which is located on the banks of the Ganga. There, he took shelter in a temple of Lord Vishnu and began executing the process of devotional service with fully controlled mind and senses. In this way, Ajāmila became completely absorbed in meditation upon the transcendental form of the Lord, and when his mind and intelligence were thus fixed, he once again saw the same four Vishnudutas before him. After offering his obeisances unto them, Ajāmila gave up his material body. In his original spiritual body, Ajāmila boarded the Vishnuduta's golden airplane and went directly back to the abode of Lord Vishnu, Vaikuntha, where he was very respectfully received and worshipped. Meanwhile, the Yamadutas came before their master in Samyamanipuri and said, "O Lord, how many controllers are there in this material world? If there are many administrators of justice who disagree about punishment and reward, their contradictory decisions will neutralize each other so that no one will be punished or rewarded. Or if they do not neutralize one another, then everyone will have to be both punished and rewarded. Of course, due to the vast number of fruitive workers, there may be many judges, but there must be one central authority over all of them. We were under the impression that you were the supreme judge and that your jurisdiction extends everywhere. Now, however, we saw that four wonderful and perfect persons superseded your order. As we were bringing sinful Ajāmila here, they forcibly cut our ropes. As soon as Ajāmila chanted the name Narayana, these four beautiful personalities arrived there and assured him of fearlessness. Your Lordship, if you think that we are able to understand, we wish to know about these wonderful personalities." The frustrated Yamadutas had become somewhat angry at having been impeded by the Vishnudutas, and so they more or less questioned Yamaraja as to whether there was any use in serving such an impotent master. The Yamadutas were very puzzled because the Vishnudutas had excused someone who Yamaraja had wanted to punish. In the universal court, how could there be two different verdicts in the same case? Being very aggrieved, Because of their defeat, the Yamadutas felt that unless Yamaraja could punish the Vishnudutas, their only recourse was to commit suicide. As for Yamaraja, he was very pleased just to hear his servants vibrate the holy name Narayana, thus enabling him to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. To eradicate the doubts of his order carriers, Yamaraja replied, "My dear servants, although you have accepted me as supreme, factually I am not. About me and all the other demigods is the supreme controller, Lord Narayana. As the different limbs of the body cannot see the eyes that direct them, the living entities cannot see the Supreme Lord even though He is situated as the Paramatma in everyone's heart. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully independent and self-sufficient, and His order carriers, the Vishnudutas, who possess similar bodily features, are on the same platform. The Vishnudutas are worshipped even by the demigods, and they always wander within this world with full independence to protect the devotees of the Lord from the hands of enemies, natural disturbances, and even from my jurisdiction. Real religious principles are established by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These transcendental principles, called Bhagavata Dharma or surrender unto the Supreme Lord, are known to Lord Brahma, Narada, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, Lord Kapila, Swayambhuva, Manu, Prahalada Maharaja, Janaka Maharaja, Bhishma, Bali Maharaja, Sukadeva Goswami, and me. Although these religious principles are very confidential and thus difficult for ordinary persons to understand, if by chance one is fortunate to do so, he is immediately liberated and thus returns home, back to Godhead. Devotional service, beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, is the supreme religious principle for all human society. My dear servants, just see how glorious is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The greatly sinful Ajāmila chanted for the purpose of calling his son, and yet by that chanting, he remembered Lord Narayana and thus was saved from the ropes of death. Even if one chants the holy name of the Lord with improper pronunciation, he will get relief from material bondage if he chants without offenses. Persons who chant the holy name of the Lord and render devotional service are not within my jurisdiction. Generally, they never commit sinful acts, but even if they do so by mistake or due to being illusioned, they are protected from sinful reactions by their chanting. My dear servants, from now on you should not even go near the devotees of the Lord, for they are always protected by the club of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For this reason, Lord Brahma, I myself, and even the time factor are not competent to chastise them. Instead, bring to me for punishment only those persons who are averse to drinking the honey of the Lord's lotus feet, who do not associate with devotees, and who are attached to family life and material enjoyment as all in all. Bring those persons whose tongues do not chant the holy name of the Lord, whose hearts do not even once remember the lotus feet of Krishna, and whose heads have never bowed down before the Lord. Please bring me all such fools and rascals. Due to the action of his servants, Yamaraja felt himself to be an offender, and so he begged pardon from the Lord as follows. O my Lord, my servants have certainly committed a great offense by attempting to arrest a Vaishnava. Therefore, please forgive us, for out of ignorance we failed to recognize Ajāmila as one of your dear servants. After hearing from their master about the extraordinary glories of the Lord and his holy name, the Yamadutas were struck with wonder. Ever since that time, as soon as they see a devotee, they become very afraid and so do not even dare to look at him. Sukadeva Goswami then said, when the great sage Agastya, the son of Kumbha, was residing in the Malaya hills, I approached him and he explained this confidential history to me. With this, we end this chapter. Radhe Radhe.